So that first reading, apologies for the embarrassment in advance. I can never not remember that scene 5 years ago, roughly, when we were doing this reading, and I was doing a children's sermon, and Caitlin Richter looked at me. I said to the kids, and they were naked, and it was okay then, but it's not okay anymore. And Caitlin goes, "Why not?" Lord, have mercy. That's our prayer. The story of Adam and Eve fascinates me, and not just for the nakedness. Dirt man and mother of all things. Or maybe a better translation, Dusty and Mommy. They do the one thing God told them not to do. You only had one instruction, Caitlin. Don't do this one thing. They did it anyway. The one thing. Researchers recently redid the marshmallow test. Have you heard of the marshmallow test? You place a marshmallow in front of a kid. You tell them that they can have a second marshmallow, but only if they wait to eat the first marshmallow for 15 minutes. Then you leave the room and return in 15 minutes. Almost sounds like Adam and Eve and the fruit, right? The original test showed that the children who knew how to delay gratification did better at home and at school. Everything from test scores to friendships to behavioral issues all showed direct correlation to the ability to delay gratification. So they redid the test. The new test showed the same correlations, but they had expanded the sample pool from 90 kids at one preschool to a representative cross-section of the general population. The new results also showed a direct correlation between the ability to delay gratification and socioeconomic status. Rich kids who were already known to be more successful due to environmental factors such as wealth were able to delay gratification easily. A history of trustworthy adults, lack of hunger, certainty of food, and the other securities of wealth seem to be the real reason kids were able to delay gratification. Those who lived in places where waiting would mean going hungry, where there was no guarantee that there would be food tomorrow, where adults were known to lie and fail to provide, took what they could get at that moment. And it makes you wonder about Adam and Eve. These were the richest people in history. They had a whole planet of wealth and a personal relationship with God. Those kids in the marshmallow test heard the same serpent's voice in their head. Why did Adam and Eve succumb to such temptation? Lord, have mercy. God comes by a moment later, but Adam and Eve hide. This is the answer to why it's not okay to be naked anymore. For the first time ever, they felt exposed, both literally and figuratively. If God sees them, he'll know exactly what they did wrong. There's a moment in this movie called Crazy. The father finds his Patsy Cline record broken. He sits his 4 sons down on the couch and starts ripping into them, threats until the guilty party confesses. No one says anything, but the youngest boy starts clicking his knees together in rapid succession. A nervous twitch. Words aren't required to know who did what wrong, as all heads turn and stare at the guilty party. We're rarely able to hide from our parents what we did wrong. What makes Adam and Eve think that they can try and hide from God? The moment they're hiding, God knows you did something wrong. And when God calls out to them, they respond just like children. It's not my fault. The woman made me do it. The one you gave me, remember? It's not my fault. The serpent tricked me. Lord, have mercy. When children become teens and young adults, one of the best parent speeches is the one where they tell their kids that no matter what happens, no matter what they do, no matter where they are, they can always call home for a ride. It doesn't matter what they were doing nor what condition they are currently in. Their life and well-being are the most important thing, and they need to know that they can never do anything so bad that you won't come to their rescue. They can never do anything so bad that they need to be afraid to ask you for help. It's the most important parent speech to a teenager. Adam and Eve don't know that God is merciful. They fear what we all fear: judgment. In a book I read recently, this young man was in a serious relationship. Then his high school flame reappears out of nowhere, and the flame is intent on winning him back. At one point, the flame kisses him, and he fails to pull back. His partner sees them kissing. The partner is outraged inside, but isn't willing to lose the battle with a flame. So the partner simply says, "We're leaving." The young man follows, and on the drive home, repeatedly says he's sorry while he waits for his partner to scream and yell and bring the wrath of God down upon him. Instead, the partner brings the mercy of God, expressing understanding that we can love more than one person and that we can make mistakes, but the young man has to choose. There's only room for two people in this relationship. And if he wants the flame, he can't keep the partner. And as I wrote this, I thought to myself, why is it that the phrase, the wrath of God, feels like such normal language? But when I write the mercy of God, it sounds like something I just made up. We pray, "Lord, have mercy," all the time, but it feels out of sync for someone to bring the mercy of God down upon someone. Can you imagine the situation God faces? Here's his partners in ministry, Dusty and Mama, Adam and Eve. And he's caught them kissing the devil in the form of lips on fruit. And not just kissing like it was a mistake, but full-on French kissing, taking a huge taste of that delicious fruit. Yet God's not willing to lose the battle against the devil. God is not going to give up on us that easily. God's not going to stop loving us just because we failed to love him. But things aren't as simple as in the book I was reading. Adam and Eve never say, "I'm sorry." God caught them red-handed, and they can't confess the truth. More lies, half-truths, the devil's specialty. What's odd in the book I was reading is that the young man feels it would have been easier if his partner had just yelled at him. The partner let anger and rage come to the surface and tore into the young man with an unparalleled fury. It would have been better. "You should be pissed," the young man says. "At least then I would know that you care." Because that's what we've imagined love looks like in this world. Real love only shows love when faced with love. But when faced with evil, real love is expressed in hatred. That's what we think. What would have happened if at any time Dusty and Mommy, Adam and Eve trusted, had faith, believed in, trusted God's love for them? What would have happened if when the serpent claimed that God lied, they thought, God's the only being I can always trust? What would have happened if they thought when they saw the fruit was good for eating, God's always providing me good things, I don't need this right now, because I know God is going to continue to provide good things? Or, God's always provided good things for me. If God says that this isn't good, it must not be good. What would have happened if when they realized they messed up, they instantly ran to God for help? God, I need a ride home right now. What would have happened if when God confronted them, they had said, I'm sorry? What would have happened if when God confronted them, they simply told the truth? Yes, I ate the fruit. If a teen were to call home drunk, I hope that they know that their parents will always come and get them. I hope that's the truth for every household here. But if you call home drunk, there's going to be consequences. For example, you're going to have a hangover in the morning. Also, you're not going to be able to go to the next few parties. Those are just two of the consequences. I'm sure there'll be more. But the loss of my love will never be one of them. I will come and get you. I will be there when you need me. I'll wrap you in my arms when I find you, and I'll hold your head while you puke in the lawn. God names the consequences. The serpent will eat dust. Life won't want to enter this world, and so giving birth is going to be painful. The dust of the earth will be riddled with weeds like a human gets riddled with sores after walking through poison ivy. Dusty, the man, shall become dust once more. But the loss of God's love is not one of the consequences. For the people who are now spending their lives trying to hide everything they feel is suddenly exposed to God. God makes clothes. God, so to say, gives his drunk children a ride home. Lord, have mercy. And God does. The mercy of God came down upon Dusty and Mommy. For them, God made new clothes, a new covering for a body that they were hiding in shame. For us, God makes new bodies, a new creation where shame no longer exists. That's the promise of the resurrection. And so here's my question for you. Can you imagine yourself bringing down the mercy of God from on high upon someone else? We humans are known for dishing out the wrath of God. As I get older, it seems easier and easier for me to respond in anger. What would it be like if we were people who were known for bringing down the mercy of God upon others rather than the wrath? I was watching the season finale of Madam Secretary. U.S. security systems detected over 400 missiles launched from Russia flying to all points of the United States. The president ordered nuclear retaliation in kind. at the very last moment, the general who had accidentally triggered a doomsday scenario simulation managed to abort the operation. But that left the main characters wrestling with the wrath of God they had nearly brought upon the whole world. And having faced annihilation, the idea of having such destruction at their fingertips became repugnant. Eventually, with Hollywood simplicity, they found a way to get a new treaty with Russia that took intercontinental ballistic missiles off the hair trigger alert system. In some ways, it was a small step, a delay in the amount of time it takes to launch a nuke from 15 minutes to 1 or 2 hours. But in another way, it was a very real step towards mercy. Here's my other question. Can you imagine God bringing the mercy of God down upon you instead of the wrath? Can you imagine God taking every step possible to disable the systems of wrath so that the only option left is mercy? Because when we pray, Lord, have mercy, I hope each of you is thinking God actually will have mercy. And I hope each of you are picturing the cross and how at that moment God declared to the world, I will no longer be known for vengeance or wrath. Stop using that phrase. All the systems of wrath have been disabled at this very moment so that you can trust in my abiding mercy. When you're drunk, yes, I'll be the one who comes and picks you up and brings you home. When you've gone to hell, I'll be the one who goes down there and carries you back to heaven. When you've failed in any way, I will be there to give you my love. Lord, have mercy. Amen.